This is the RV Advisor Podcast with your host, Tom Alexander. Get all the latest information, trends, advice from experts, stories from the road, and more in the world of recreational vehicles. Now, here's Tom.
Hi, everybody. This is Tom Alexander from the RV Advisor Podcast. And today we have from the Wandering RV, it is Bill Widmer. Bill Widmer's calling us from South Carolina today, checking in. And hey, Bill, how are you?
I'm doing well, Tom. How are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you. As we can see, you're not in an RV, but you're in a home. You still have your RV. You still do quite a bit of RVing, but I guess you could say you're back in brick and mortar, as they say.
Yes.
So you said that we talked before the show, and you said that just shortly before the pandemic, you moved back into a home. That good timing, I guess. Right?
It was good timing because we had no idea it was coming, and then like 2 months after we moved in, everything happened. We're like, dodged a bullet there.
Yeah, that's for sure. Wow, I'll tell you, it has been one for the record books. This will be a year that we can tell all our grandkids about someday. It has been something else. But hopefully there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and that we'll all be able to, get back out there and live life to the fullest, as we all, I think the majority of us like to do. So the Wandering RV, the Wandering RV is a blog, and it's about a full-time RV lifestyle, but of course you're still RVing, not quite full time now, but that's okay. Sometimes it can feel that way if you're out on the road long enough, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it's kind of the site was originally about full-time RVing, but we're transitioning into just all things RVing as we kind of change ourselves.
Yeah, and not only the United States where you've traveled, but apparently you've gone to different places around the globe, and that's very cool. Obviously you're not taking your RV there, but tell us about we'll get back to the RVing in a second, but tell us about some of the places you've been outside the U.S.
We actually haven't been outside the U.S. Does it say we're outside the U.S. on there?
Well, it says we share our adventures across the globe, but I guess maybe that's just.
Oh, okay. So we haven't gotten there yet, but we've been all over the eastern half of the U.S. so far.
I got you. Okay, so the adventures you're sharing the adventures, but you haven't been to those spots yet. Right?
So our original plan was actually we had plans to go to Greece this year. Back in February.
Yeah.
And then we're like, well, not doing that now.
Yeah. Well, that's a place I've been many times. That's my, I can say that as my background, my family background, and I got a lot of family over there still, and who I talk to on a regular basis. It would be great if you do go, because it is a beautiful, beautiful place. And I think once you do get over there, you're going to love it. And you can look my family up and they'll feed you.
Good to know. I'll keep that in mind for when we do that.
Yeah. It's just what can I say? They're Greek. They have to just, they have to feed people. It's like in the DNA. So let me ask you about your adventures along the East Coast. What are some of the highlights that you've seen along the way?
Yeah. So we've pretty much been from up through Maine all the way down into Florida. So highlights in terms of like things we've seen, or
think favorite spots.
Okay, so our absolute favorite spot is Acadia in the national park in Maine.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's come up a lot on this show.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
We actually, when we first started RVing, we went up there, and Cadillac Mountain. Are you familiar? Yeah. So our RV was too big to make it up the mountain, and we didn't have a tow vehicle at the time. So we parked it at the bottom of the mountain, and we hiked it at 2:00 in the morning to get to the top so we could see the sunrise.
Wow. No kidding, man.
That was fun.
And isn't that one of the first, that's like one of the first sunrise spots in the U.S., I think, right? I mean, it's like right there. It's among the very first places that get on the East Coast of the United States that get the sunrise. So you're breaking in the day for the whole country, really.
Oh yeah, definitely. And it was like these massive rolling hills of clouds. Like
Mm.
imagine like The Hobbit, all those green rolling hills, but it's all
Yep.
clouds.
There,
It was so cool.
no kidding. That's terrific. We're speaking with the wandering RVer himself, Bill Widmer. And of course, your wife, Kaylee, as well, is a part of the duo that does all this traveling and blogging. And
Kayla, actually.
how's that?
It was Kayla. I
Oh,
think
Kayla. Kayla.
sorry.
We've had a couple Kayleys on the show, and
That's okay.
we'll get there. I'm advancing in years. I really got to work on my name recognition and remembering. Let's take a quick break, Bill, and I want to learn more about all your adventures and your writing too. I want to hear about the inspiration to do this writing. This is the RV Advisor podcast. My guest is Bill Widmer, the Wandering RV. Back in just a moment.
Hey, RV owners and those thinking about owning. Want to maximize the fun and minimize the hassle of buying an RV? You need GPS. It's Gigi's personal service. Our $350 package gets you me, the expert advice, and a host of outstanding services. Visit thervadvisor.com.
We are back on the RV Advisor podcast. My name is Tom Alexander, and my guest today is Bill Widmer. And Bill is from the Wandering RV. He and his wife, Kayla, got it right that time, blog and have actually billwidmer.com as well. And you're telling me before that lots of writing and SEO work in your life and kind of just getting stuff out there for people. And it's really become a very interesting business model for people that I know, and they do a lot of writing, and they attract a pretty large audience. I'm looking at your Pinterest page, and you're closing in on 3,500 followers. That's pretty cool. And I'm sure you got a lot of other people who read. So you have a background in writing. Is that something that you've been doing a long time?
Yeah. I mean, I've loved writing since I was a kid. I wrote my first story when I was like 7, but SEO is kind of like the main thing that I've been focusing on for about the last 6 years or so.
Mm-hmm.
We used to do it for clients. Now we just kind of do it for our own sites. Like the Wandering RV, we get over 300,000 visits a month just from Google alone. So it's a big business.
It's funny. Were you surprised by the, just the way the viewership, the followership, if I can create a word, just sort of started happening? Did your eyes sort of pop out of your head? It's like, wow, what's going on here? Was it a surprise to you, or did you really kind of just expect it at the outset?
So initially it was a surprise. We kind of started the site just as a way to share pictures and videos with friends and family. Like it wasn't meant to be a business or, this major blog or anything like that. But it kind of became my guinea pig as I was learning about SEO. We were doing it for clients and I just messed around with it. And then all of a sudden 1 month we made like $100 off the blog, off an article I did a couple months ago. And I was like, oh, wow, there's something to this. So that's when I kind of started digging into it and doing keyword research. And I realized, holy crap, there's millions of people searching for this stuff. So there's a lot of opportunity. So it was a shock at first, but once I dug into the keywords, I kind of understood the potential.
Yeah, it's funny because I can remember when I was a kid and also just, going into my late teens, early 20s, we had what we called, I guess you called it appointment viewing on television, and everybody would sort of just gather around the TV to watch a show or whatever. And then of course VCRs and stuff came in, but it was like, you couldn't imagine not being away from a TV. Now I watch a ball game or something, but I watch very little television. I spend so much time on my computer, and I think I'm not alone there because most people really are glued to either their computer, their tablet, their phone, and they're always reading and researching, and the last thing they do on their phone is talk. it's a whole new world. Obviously, it's been that way for some time, but it just every minute, every day, it grows, and people are learning new things. It's like, well, what do they think of next? Well, just wait till next week, and you'll find out what they think of next. You know, and you're really kind of in that world, right? I mean, you're doing it, and have you thought of new and engaging ways to bring your audience in?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm personally glued to my computer screen probably about 8 to 10 hours a day
Yeah,
between work, games, and other things.
sure.
Um, so in terms of engaging our audience, so I mentioned this to you before the podcast, but we basically are working on a massive series about like things to do in different places that we've personally visited. So obviously there's some search intent there, people who are looking up things to do in Destin, Florida or something like that.
Yeah.
So we want to capture those kinds of keywords, but also put our own personal experience and flair on it. So we're going to be doing a massive series over the next probably year or two. It's going to take a while, but just things to do, like the best things to do across the world. And we actually have a blog post called The Best Places to Travel. And we interviewed 30 different experts of, some of the biggest travel blogs in the world, and asked what their best place to travel was in the world for someone who was looking to travel in maybe 2020 or 2021. Of course, that was pre-pandemic, but we're going to kind of dive into that and hopefully eventually visit all of these places and have things to do in all of these places as well.
Have you found that with the pandemic, you've had to either rethink what you do, or evolve with the things going on, and also seen a spike, the good kind of spike, in your followers?
Yeah. So initially our business dropped like 50%, the Wandering RV specifically. And it was pretty scary. But then the following month, all of a sudden, everybody was freaking RVing. Like it took off. It almost doubled compared to the previous year. It was insane. Yeah. Originally we were rethinking it. And of course, I have the background in SEO and writing, and so does Kayla. So we could take on more clients and do other things to make money. So we weren't too concerned there. But yeah, it was a little scary for a month there.
Yeah, I'll bet. I think that a lot of people were trying to adjust, and there was that initial panic because we had nothing to compare it to. We had no template for this, and we're still, we're getting better at it, but we're still trying to figure out exactly how to proceed with certain things. And I know that I was stunned. Because the kind of work that I've been doing, I'm a longtime broadcaster, but, transitioned really into podcasting. And I'm telling you, I was stunned by the spike in the demand for what I do, which is amazing, and I'm obviously very grateful. So it's things emerge out of this crazy situation we're in that maybe we didn't expect. But it's wonderful that you're doing this, and I would think that people really appreciate the content, and and they're learning new things, and they can interact, and it's just a lot of fun, particularly for people who are travelers, and I would imagine people who aren't even RVers, but they just like to travel, hop on and check out some pretty cool stuff, I guess, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of the coolest things that I've found over the last year or two is we actually started partnering with a site called Outdoorsy.
Mm-hmm.
So they do all RV rentals and stuff like that. So it's cool because now we can kind of do the RV travel thing, but not actually have to buy a $20,000, $30,000 rig to do it. We could just go rent one and go check out all these different places. Plus you can have it like dropped off in specific locations. So if I want to fly out to the West Coast and then stay in an RV somewhere over there, we could do that too.
Right. Well, it's pretty cool that with RV rentals, people who are thinking about possibly becoming full-timers or whatever, they got that option. Let's try it out. Let's see how it feels, and if we really, really like it, we'll do some thinking on it, rather than just going out and doing an impulse buy.
Yeah.
It's a little scary.
It is. It is. Plus, it's a good way to test different models too. Like if you're not sure what you want, you can go rent that specific model you might be thinking about, and then
What
try it
do
out.
you ride around in these days?
So we have, it's pretty big. It's a Grand Design Reflection fifth wheel. It's about 36 feet. Fantastic for two people, but it's only got the one bed and it's just the two of us. So
Yeah, so
that
you're
makes
okay. Any pets come along, or is it just the two of you?
yeah, we have a cat named Luna. He's
Luna.
actually
Okay, so Luna,
running around somewhere.
Luna's there somewhere.
Yeah.
So Luna joins you on the road. Any places on the map for here in the next couple of weeks or so to go?
Yeah, I've been really wanting to make it out to Colorado. I'm really hoping that we can. It's beautiful there, and I've always wanted to visit. We've never seen it, so we're kind of trying to get out more west now because we've done most of the East Coast now.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. And originally, is South Carolina your home base, or is that where you were born and raised, or are you from where else? Where are you from?
So we're both actually from Pennsylvania. The whole reason we even started living in an RV in the first place was because we both hated Pennsylvania. We hated the cold weather,
Yeah.
wanted to get out of there.
I was raised and spent the first 32 years of my life in Pennsylvania. Where
so
from?
You can relate. Scranton.
Wilkes-Barre.
Oh, wow.
So there you
Small
go.
world.
We're next door to each other.
That's crazy.
How about that? So, so you got out of Scranton.
Yes.
And you are now, slightly warmer climate in South Carolina. And so that's pretty good. And you're traveling the world and you're, young folks. So you got life figured out. Doing okay.
We're having a good time.
Good for you. Good for you.
Thank you.
Bill Widmer is our guest from the Wandering RV. Bill, go ahead and tell folks the best place they can find you guys.
Yeah, so thewanderingRV.com, obviously. We have contact pages. We've got our email on there. Also, billwidmer.com is my personal website. That's where I talk about marketing and affiliate marketing and content marketing and SEO, that kind of stuff.
Great. There you go. Bill Widmer, our guest on the RV Advisor podcast. Bill, thank you so much for taking time out to join us today. We really appreciate it.
Tom, thanks for having me.
This is the RV Advisor podcast. I'm Tom Alexander. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time. So long, everybody.